If this story chilled you, remember, Eclipse Horror Stories isn't just a YouTube channel. It's a community. Here, you're not just watching scary animations. You're part of something bigger. A place where true horror fans gather, share their thoughts, and keep the darkness alive together. Every time you subscribe, you're joining a circle of people who love that same feeling. The goosebumps, the late-night chills, the I can't sleep after this stories. So hit subscribe now and become part of the Eclipse Horror family. Because in this community, no one faces the darkness alone. I used to think I had seen everything Alaska could throw at a man. I had worked as a field guide for years, taking researchers, photographers, even thrill seekers into the backcountry. I had seen grizzlies at 10 feet, storms that rolled in so fast you couldn't tell east from west, and nights so cold the ice inside your tent sounded like breaking glass. But there was something about this particular story that still unsettles me, even now. Maybe it's because it began so normal, so routine, the way most tragedies do. You don't feel the danger creeping in until it's already too late. It started in the winter of 2021. A woman named Claire contacted me through a mutual friend. She wasn't a tourist, not exactly. She was a journalist who wanted to write about the smaller, forgotten communities in Alaska, the ones you don't see in brochures. She was young, early 30s, with a restless sort of energy. Her emails were short, polite, but you could sense she was stubborn. The kind of person who would go out there with or without help. That's why I agreed to guide her. Better she had someone who knew the land. She arrived in Anchorage with too little gear and far too much confidence. I still remember the way she looked at the mountains as if they were an invitation instead of a warning. She carried a small camera bag and a notebook, not much else. "I don't need luxury," she said, smiling. "I just need someone who can keep me alive out there." She said it like a joke, but I caught the seriousness in her eyes. Our plan was simple. Spend 10 days moving between small settlements near the edge of Denali. She wanted to speak with old-timers, trappers, anyone who had stories of survival. I'd arranged snowmobiles, tents, fuel, the usual. But Claire had one request that unsettled me from the start. She wanted to visit a place I had only ever heard whispers about, a half-abandoned village called Caskell, tucked in a valley no one had real reason to visit anymore. I told her it wasn't worth the trouble. The road hadn't been cleared in years, and the last time I'd been near it, a storm nearly buried my sled in the drifts. But she pressed. She had come across a mention of the place in an old newspaper archive. Something about missing families, odd disappearances. Her gut told her there was a story buried out there. She looked straight at me and said, "If I don't see it for myself, I'll regret it." Against my better judgment, I agreed. We set out at the start of February, the coldest time of year. The air itself felt sharp, like it could cut skin if you stayed exposed too long. For the first 2 days, everything went smoothly. We traveled slow, stopped at cabins I knew, met a few scattered locals. Claire was good at getting people to talk. She had that way about her. Gentle but insistent, like she already understood half the answer and only needed you to fill in the rest. People liked her. I could see them softening. Even the old men who usually kept their words locked behind tobacco-stained teeth. By the third day, we left the familiar paths behind. The valley leading to Caskell was narrow, flanked by dark trees that pressed close on both sides. My sled whined as it dragged through powder deeper than I expected. The GPS flickered a few times, which I brushed off as normal interference. Claire rode behind me, her scarf snapping in the wind, one hand clutching her camera, ready to capture anything. The first sign that something was off came when we saw the smoke. Thin, pale, rising from the trees ahead. It startled me because I hadn't expected anyone to be living this far out. Caskell had been reported as practically deserted years ago. A few cabins left to rot, maybe an old church. But that smoke was fresh, recent. Claire's eyes lit up when she saw it. To her, it was proof there was still life here. To me, it was a warning. We reached the clearing just before dusk. The village looked exactly like I remembered. Half-buried cabins leaning at strange angles. Roofs caved in from years of heavy snow. The church steeple still stood, but crooked, like it was sinking into the ground. Yet the smoke came from a cabin at the far end, a small one with blue shutters. It looked lived in. Claire wanted to go straight there, of course. I told her we should wait until morning, set camp nearby, but she was already walking, crunching through the snow with her notebook in hand. I cursed under my breath and followed. The closer we got, the stranger it seemed. The smoke wasn't steady. It pulsed, almost like something was forcing bursts of it through the chimney instead of a steady fire. The snow around the cabin was smooth. No footprints, no paths, not even marks from hauling wood. Claire knocked on the door, her glove thumping against the old wood. For a long moment nothing happened. Then, just when I was about to tell her we should leave, we heard movement inside. Slow, dragging, like someone shuffling to the door. My pulse quickened. There shouldn't have been anyone here, not in a place this forgotten. The door creaked open an inch. The air that spilled out was stale, colder than outside, with a faint smell that made my stomach tighten. A man's voice came through the crack, low and rasping. "You shouldn't be here." Claire froze, pen poised above her notebook. I stepped closer, ready to pull her back if I had to. The man's eye appeared in the gap, pale and unblinking, fixed on us like he was staring from another place entirely. And then, without opening the door any further, he whispered, "It doesn't stop calling. Not ever. You brought it with you."